Well, in what seems like an escalation of the ongoing Israel-Iran conflict, Iran's Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps has said that it has fired dozens of missiles at Israel in response to the killing of people in Gaza as well as Hamas and Hezbollah leaders. Now, the Israeli military has also urged people in the country to stay in protected area until further notice. In fact, Israeli Foreign Ministry has tweeted, and I quote, "A short while ago, missiles were launched from Iran towards the state of Israel. Israelis are instructed to remain alert and precisely follow the Home Front Command's instructions." Meanwhile, India has also issued an advisory for citizens in Israel, ensuring their safety. I have former IDF soldier Benny Benjamin joining us live at this minute. Thank you, Mr. Benjamin, for joining us on NDTV. First of all, we know that this conflict is escalating now with the ground invasion that Israel started and also the shootings that are happening in Tel Aviv. I would like to know what is really happening in Israel. Could you tell us what kind of attack has Iran launched?
Iran was doing somewhere about 150 to 200 missiles. They came from Iran, and we were there. We were in shelters for more than 30 minutes. And now also it can be any minute. They can just make a siren, and we must go to the shelter. Shelter is nearby, so I can just run away to shelter. But I don't think Iran said now. Before 5 minutes, we got messages that Iran says, this is the quantity that we were supposed to send, and we will not send any more. But if Israel or America will attack us, then we have plenty of rockets to send more.
Okay. Mr. Benjamin, how do you see Israel responding to this? Because in the last 1 year, we've seen Israel also responding very, aggressively to all the attacks that it has seen. How much do you see this conflict escalating? What kind of fallout will this have on something that has already seen a lot of action in the last few months?
As for the IDF, meanwhile, what we are hearing from the TV, we know that Israel will answer them. Israel will not keep quiet because Iran has done very much. Iran is a terrorist, not Iran, sorry. The Hezbollahs and the Shias and whatever you call in Iran, they are all terrorism, where the public is not wanting terrorism in Iran. And same thing happening in Lebanon. Lebanon, they don't want any terrorism, where the Hezbollah is hijacking them. Hezbollah is actually taking advantage of these guys because they are holding the guns and bombs, whatever they have in their hands, and the public can't do anything with that. No political party has an army beside him.
Right.
No political party anywhere in the world. How they can decide that they want to have army with one political or two political members that they have in Lebanon assembly.
Right. Mr. Benjamin, in the last few months, we've also seen criticism of Israel's offensive in Gaza because lots of children, lots of women have been killed. At the same time, we've also seen in the last 2 days, US come out in support of Israel. Do you see a large part of the world supporting you, or do you also feel that Israel will be facing scrutiny because this conflict has been going on for months now?
US is supporting us from a long time. We are really very thankful to US regarding all what they are supporting us, and whatever we are doing, they're completely supporting us because they know Israeli will not unnecessarily beat any of the enemies. We don't want enemies. And what happened with Hamas before 12 months, sorry, now it is almost 362 days, almost 1 year. What happened with Hamas was, it was very, 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 very bad attack. And we know that our army that time it was a big mistake of our army that they have not protected us. But with all that I'm talking about, this is not a way to attack. This is not a way to attack public. This is not a way to attack children. This is not a way to attack families and old people and hijack them. It is not a way. And that's what I think, as per my opinion, the world was supposed to be in our side and say, hello, what they have done, it is wrong. But still, you can see what is happening in Europe. what is happening in UK, what is happening in Spain, what is happening in Germany, and what is happening in US also.
Right.
Although they are the best friends of ours.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Benjamin, for joining us with those critical details. Thank you so much and stay safe. Also joining me now is Trent Murray, who is reporting from Tel Aviv. Trent, do tell us what really is happening because, there's this shooting attack in Tel Aviv. What really happened? Because there are visuals that show gunmen getting out of rail stations and opening fire. What do we know so far? How many casualties do we know so far?
Well, look, I'm actually not too far from the scene of the shooting, up on an elevated apartment, and I can see just a flood of police cars down there right now, and ambulances still attending to the scene. We're still trying to gather all the details, but there are photos circulating in Israeli media of CCTV footage showing two men at that train stop, one of them carrying what looks to be a pretty large machine gun of some description, and opening fire. Now, we are hearing that there's been at least 8 casualties, but that number could change, and certainly some of the footage, again, that's playing on Israeli news channels shows a number of bodies on the street at that train station. So it's obviously a pretty mass casualty event that the Tel Aviv authorities are trying to deal with right now in what is a very popular part of the city for people to go out of an evening and have dinner or some drinks and meet friends. It's very close to the beach, and it would have been a very shocking moment for people waiting at that train stop, presumably heading home from work, to have seen these two men, one of them carrying a big gun and opening fire.
Thank you, Trent, for joining us with those critical details. NDTV's Mohammad Ghazali also joins me. Ghazali, Iran has launched a salvo of ballistic missiles at Israel, and you were just a few minutes ago reporting that, Israel also saw indications of this imminent Iranian attacks on Israel. Is this what it is? How do you think Israel will be responding to this, and what kind of shootings in Tel Aviv are we talking about?
See, as of now, the current report suggests that this missile attack has led to a couple of injuries. 2 people have been injured while they were rushing towards the bunker or the safe area. But so far, there has been no casualties. But despite the fact that there has been no casualties, enough evidence has emerged that perhaps the air defense system was overwhelmed with the kind of or the number of missiles which were launched by Iran towards Israel. Meanwhile, just minutes before this missile was launched from Iran, a shooting attack also took place in the area called Jaffa near Tel Aviv, where 8 people have been killed and many more are injured. So it's a very tense situation in the Middle East right now, because it was expected, perhaps a couple of days ago, it appeared as if Iran will not launch any attack. All the indications from its foreign office, from its defense minister, and even the supreme leader of Iran perhaps hinted that they will wait for a right opportune time to attack or launch any kind of offensive against Israel. But they have certainly changed their decision at the last minute, and by afternoon today, the U.S. Defense Department and others concerned departments had already shared the intel with Israel that a threat or attack is imminent. And that is when, just minutes before Iran launched these missiles towards Israel, sirens went all across the country. People were advised to go into the bunkers. Now, all eyes will be on Israel, because Iran, after launching these missiles, have also issued a statement that if Israel retaliates, then more offensive will come from Iran. So certainly the entire focus, which shifted from Gaza to Lebanon, has now shifted back to how Israel will react to Iran, and whether all these fronts which you have been reporting about, that whether Israel is ready to attack and engage in multi-front war, is looking very imminent now.
Right. Thank you, Ghazali, for joining us. Clearly, there is a new front of war that has opened up. This, of course, threatens a wider conflict, this conflict getting widened in this region, even as Iran has launched an offensive against Israel, while Israel is saying that it is also ready to go on an offensive. Israel, remember, has already launched an on-ground offensive in southern Lebanon today. So many developments there. Moving on to some national news, Karnataka Muda muddle has thickened now. Siddaramaiah, who is the Chief Minister of Karnataka, who is anyway facing the scrutiny of investigating agencies, has now been summoned by ED. This is a day after ED filed an ECIR in this case. There is ED heat over Karnataka Chief Minister, who has clearly said that he is not going to resign. ED in fact is going to question Siddaramaiah on the 3rd of October. ED has intensified its probe, and this is after Karnataka High Court and Lokayukta gave the green signal for the investigation into the CM's name in the scam. In fact, CM's wife today has said that she would be returning the land that is being contested, but the probe will go on. Earlier, in fact, Lokayukta officers have also inspected the plot site.
Nehamai Krishna, he is the man who took Siddaramaiah to court as well with respect to the Moda case, and he has now knocked on the doors of the ED with respect to registering a money laundering case. And taking that into account, the ED today has registered the case under PMLA, that is the Money Laundering Act, and they have also accordingly mentioned in the summons issued to Nehamai Krishna that his in-person attendance would be required to give evidence and for the production of records in connection with the investigation for proceeding under PMLA in the above-mentioned case. And that is exactly how the procedural protocol would take place as far as the investigation is concerned. The Lokayukta did the same, issuing summons to Nehamai Krishna with respect to producing documents and other evidences, and that's exactly what's happening with the ED as well. When and how they would be issuing summons to Siddaramaiah is again something that needs to be closely watched. But as far as this ED registration of case is concerned, a definite setback for Siddaramaiah, who did get on with the media today to talk about how there has been no financial transaction and he has absolutely no idea as to why this case has come about in terms of money laundering. But he has stood firm on his ground of not resigning and that he would be fighting this both legally as well as politically. A lot is twists as far as the Moda case is concerned. Two different cases, one with respect to money laundering, the other with respect to that case. All eyes are on how he would be fighting this investigation.
Well, Siddaramaiah there, the Chief Minister of Karnataka, facing a lot of heat in the Moda case. Even as ED begins its investigation, he has been summoned on the 3rd of October. Moving on to other stories, Haryana government has now approved a 20-day parole application of rape and murder convict Gurmeet Ram Rahim. He is likely to walk out of jail. In fact, Congress's Haryana unit has reacted to reports saying that he would be out of jail soon. Remember, he is serving a 20-year jail sentence, and he will be granted parole for the 10th time in the past 2 years, days before the assembly elections in the state of Haryana. Congress party has said that this is against the moral code of conduct, and his release will also influence votes and voters in the state of Haryana.
We have learned this has become one of the major political issue. We have seen the Congress party has already written very vocally to the election commission saying at this point of time, if Gurmeet Ram Rahim is going to be released on parole, it will affect the vote in the state. Because what we have learned, Gurmeet Ram Rahim has a mass following in Haryana state, Rajasthan and nearby other states also. And every time we have seen the opposition party, they are putting a question mark over his parole, saying it seems that they were trying to get a political mileage out of this. Same thing is happening today. If he has already been granted and if he is going to be released on parole, it will definitely affect the vote turnout in the state of Haryana. That is the allegation which has been raised by Congress. But we have seen, despite raising all these allegations, we have seen he is able to get parole, and tomorrow morning, he will be released from Sonaria jail. So let's see that how the election will be affected and what type of impact he will be leaving on the voter. That will be clear once the result will be out. But as of now, the Congress has already made it a big political issue in the state of Haryana.
Time for a short break. More news and updates on the other side. Welcome back. Elections have now ended in Jammu and Kashmir. Remember, elections took place in 3 phases after 10 years. Voter turnout of 65.5% was recorded in the third and final phase of assembly elections in J&K. This was also the largest phase. There were 415 candidates in free for 40 constituencies. 24 of these fall under the Jammu division, which is where the focus was, and the rest of it in Kashmir, mainly northern part of Kashmir. Moving on, junior doctors in West Bengal demanding better security at state-run hospitals after the rape and murder of their colleague at a medical college in Kolkata have now resumed their total cease work. In fact, the suspension of work began at 10 a.m. on Tuesday morning as doctors alleged that there was no positive approach from the state government to fulfill their demands for safety at work.
আপনাদের সবার মনে আজ অজস্র প্রশ্ন রয়েছে মুখ্য সচিবকে দুইবার ইমেল করেছিলাম
Junior doctors in West Bengal back on strike as they say their security demands have not been met by the state government despite their repeated assurances.
12 দিন পেরিয়ে গেলেও দৃশ্যমান কোনো পরিবর্তন আমরা দেখতে পাইনি এমনকি সাগর দত্তের ঘটনা সম্পর্কে তিনি সুপ্রিম কোর্টে দাঁড়িয়েও মিথ্যাচার করে গেছেন সমস্ত ঘটনার দায়ভার চাপিয়েছেন জুনিয়র ডাক্তারদের উপরে আমরা এও মনে করি স্বাস্থ্য দপ্তরের অপদার্থতা বা সক্রিয় মদত ছাড়া এই প্রবল দুর্নীতি অসম্ভব
The doctors came up with a list of 10 demands that includes setting up of a centralized referral system and a bed vacancy monitor, apart from the old demand of the removal of the health secretary who was present at the Supreme Court hearing.
But the irregularities which are noticed in the context of the report.
On Monday, the top court rapped Bengal government for the tardiness in installing CCTVs and building toilets.
As a state government, have you taken any call on any disciplinary action against
we were told about 5 doctors, they have been suspended, action have been taken. Rest if CBI as and when they tell us something specific against them or that they have been made accused because investigation is very wide.
Also among the demands were elections in student councils which the Supreme Court did not get into despite repeated appeals from the junior doctors' lawyers. The state government says that the work is already in progress.
আপনারা জানেন মাননীয় মুখ্যমন্ত্রী সব ডিস্ট্রিক্টের প্রিন্সিপালস এমএসবিপি হেলথ ডিপার্টমেন্টের অফিসিয়ালসদের সঙ্গে রিভিউ করেছিলেন সব জায়গায় কাজ শুরু হয়েছে এবং কোথাও 30%, কোথাও 40, কোথাও 60, কোথাও 70 বিভিন্ন স্তরে কাজ হচ্ছে এবং একটা কাজ করতে গেলে কিছুটা সময় লাগে আপনার সিসিটিভিও লাগাতে গেলে কিছুটা সময় লাগবে
Meanwhile, after resuming their strike, the joint platform of doctors held a rally in Kolkata to protest the rape murder of a trainee medic at Arjikar Hospital from College Square in North Kolkata to Rabindra Sadan in the south.
A protest by junior doctors in the heart of Kolkata, marching from College Square to Rabindra Sadan and of course reiterating some of their old demands while adding some new ones as they announced their cease work protest. The protest, the doctors say, will continue till their conditions are met, while the state government says work is already on to meet their demands. With camera person Aniruddha Tripathi in Kolkata, Saurabh Gupta, NDTV.
Moving on, Bollywood's well-known actor and Shiv Sena leader Govinda was hospitalized today morning after accidentally shooting himself in the leg with his licensed weapon. After a surgery to extract the bullet, he shared a message for his fans, thanking them for their wishes, saying that he was fine.
Actor Govinda was reportedly preparing to leave his Juhu home, the Golden Beach, early today when his licensed gun reportedly fell accidentally and fired a bullet that hit his leg. Govinda was immediately shifted to Mumbai's Critic Care Hospital where doctors removed the bullet and said his condition was stable.
तो जैसे हम वो आए और ये लाके सबसे पहले हम लोगों ने ड्रेसिंग करके उनकी ब्लीडिंग रोकी उसके बाद में उनका एक्सरे हुआ और फिर हमने ऑपरेशन थिएटर में उनको ऑपरेट किया और उनकी बुलेट निकाली उनके बराबर उपचार होना चाहिए जो हो रहा है और उनको सलाह देंगे कि वो रेस्ट करें.
Govinda himself released an audio and thanked his fans.
नमस्कार प्रणाम मैं हूं गोविंदा आप सब लोगों के आशीर्वाद और माँ बाप का आशीर्वाद और गुरु की कृपा की वजह से गोली लगी थी पर वो निकाल दी गई है मैं धन्यवाद देता हूँ.
स्थिति पहले से बहुत ठीक है और आशा करते हैं 2-3 दिन में स्थिति और ठीक हो जाएगी उनकी. गोविंदा जी के फैंस को मैं नमन करता हूँ.
आप सभी लोगों के पूरे देश विदेश पूरी दुनिया का जितने फैंस हैं उन लोगों का आशीर्वाद गोविंदा जी के साथ है.
Chief Minister Eknath Shinde spoke over phone to Govinda who had joined the Shiv Sena in April and wished him a speedy recovery.
Security has been tightened at the hospital as Govinda's family members, politicians, well-wishers and Bollywood stars have started to make a beeline at the hospital. The incident has once again drawn attention and security concerns over the issuance of licensed weapons. From Mumbai with video journalist Kalpesh, me Sujata Dwivedi, Prashant Sisodia and Sunil Singh reporting from Mumbai.
Days after the Supreme Court's rap where it said that the anti-pollution panel was just a silent spectator, was not really doing much to control pollution, the Committee for Air Quality Management now has deployed flying squads of CPCB for monitoring actions towards prevention of paddy stubble burning in Punjab and Haryana. In fact, the flying squads of CPCB assisting the CAQM, which is the Central Panel for Quality Management of Air, has been deployed to be identified to identify hotspot districts in the states of Punjab and Haryana between the 1st and 3rd of October, where paddy stubble burning incidents actually grow higher. In fact, the flying squads will be deployed so that the stubble burning incidents will be closely monitored, and they will also work in coordination with concerned authorities, officers at district levels, and also nodal officers that have been appointed by various state governments. Time for a short break. More news and updates on the other side.